Greetings everyone, Aga here. Welcome to another episode at Balance Lab. I would like to talk to you today about something that was brought to my attention by someone who responded to a post of mine on Instagram. I posted something that goes as follows. This is not your job to fix people who are toxic, but it's your job to fix or detoxify, clear the part of you that is attracted to their toxicity. And attraction might be a tricky word here because it's more compulsion than an attraction. So we will be talking today about manipulation. Maybe you're attracted to this video because you have been manipulated, or maybe you don't know you have been manipulated. But I got a request from someone who, as it turns out, has been in an abusive relationship. She was being gaslit and verbally manipulated, emotionally as well, not physically as far as I'm concerned, but this happens on so many levels, and I've seen this in my area of work. I've seen this in relationships, professional, personal. So if you're watching this video, let's talk about these aspects of us that often feel this compulsion, this need to concentrate on other people, or we feel attracted to people that we think we can help, and we ended up spending years with people who are using us, essentially. So I'm going to use some examples because if you have been vulnerable, if you come from unstable background, family, you're susceptible to manipulation. Even if you come from relatively healthy household, you might have experienced in your pre-birth phase exposure to manipulation. One of the parents was manipulating others. A lot of times when people have heated conversations, arguments, and later they make up, all these endorphins and hormones are run through the system. This is very, very unhealthy way of maintaining relationship, going through these roller coasters and then sealing the relationship again when after a powerful storm there is this moment of unity, but this moment doesn't last very long. Yet it is like a drug. It is like injection of heroin, because it will flood you with so many hormones of pleasure that you get hooked. And a lot of people are operating in the three-dimensional reality still on that level. So I'll give you some examples and kind of also give a broader context to what I mean. If you have been trying to heal, or if you have been experiencing any kind of manipulation, you might also take my advice to heart. Look for people who don't please you. Actually, look for people who will help you understand and sit with your pain and create space so that you can process and feel it fully before you have a cathartic release. People who are on this path, they've been meditating, they've been doing a lot of yoga. What it does, it actually brings forth what you have been suppressing. I've seen this in Asia, for example. Lots of teachers, yoga teachers, practicing for 15-20 years, also teaching, and they've had psychotic episodes. They've been unstable, they've been on medication for years. And the reason is that yoga, meditation itself, is not therapy, and you need actual process in order to fully witness the pain that you've been trying to get rid of for so long, And for that, you actually need therapeutic process that has steps. There is an algorithm to healing. Um, so if you have been trying to heal and still have anxiety, still have symptoms, and you've been changing your life, but you keep attracting people who are dysfunctional to you, or you have been having these symptoms that are very troublesome, anxiety, fear, this means that with a proper guidance, you can bring it to the end. But you have to create very safe and specific environment for that. And a lot of people out there, they find therapists that either consciously or not, I don't know, but I've seen this many times, are pleasing the clients, complimenting them, making them feel better temporarily, because they respond to the direct need of the client, of the person, to be seen. So that creates codependency, right? So we're going from one codependency in a relationship, for example, a personal relationship, into another codependency with a therapist. That's not healing at all. So let's just be straight here, that if you are going to a therapy and you feel like somebody put a band-aid on you, you had a good hour, but there is no breakthrough, even you invested some time and money into the treatment, then you are not doing healing. You found someone who understands that you need validation, that you need to feel that there is someone who can see you as a person fully, who doesn't judge you. And perhaps that's the level of service as a practitioner, holistic practitioner, that you want to provide. But if you have been played in a relationship, manipulated, let's turn it around, then you might want to understand that in healing and transformation, there is no bypassing, right? And you need to be able to emotionally feel that pain combined with compassion for yourself. So what happens is that people who think that other people can be their project, again, talking about the original idea from this person who asked me that question, is that if you attract people who abuse you one way or another, or maybe it's your child, and I had a situation like this last week. I had a client who gave its best to his sons. He has 3 sons, and 2 of them are twins, and they're in very early 20s. So he came to me asking about one of the sons, one of the twins. They were like semi-celebrities here in the area where I live, because they were very good basketball players. That's how the son bonded with the father. That was the way of the father to be close to the sons. And one of the sons ended up playing semi-professionally. He ended up getting a scholarship at school and ended up playing again, continues to play. And the second son went to a different college. He initially was playing, but then he was no longer allowed to play. Something happened that he either wasn't good enough, or there was some kind of level of competition or other things that did not allow him to continue. So that situation triggered the boy, right? He became aggressive towards his father. This has been going on for 3 years, just so you know. So this father comes to me because the boy is demands a new car, demands more things from the father, material things, is verbally abusive towards him, treats the father like garbage, piece of garbage if he comes home. He was given an apartment in San Diego. So the father is trying to do anything that he possibly can in order to help his son. Um, well, we had a consultation for about an hour and a half, and then the father decided to have a hypnosis session with me. So we first talk, then I walked him through, guided him through relaxation, and then we go into induction. So this is a process that takes time, right? If we want to go into deep trance and really connect to the core, there is an equation and algorithm to it, and this should not be rushed. So in any case, we go to space. He's resting in this space, just kind of embraced by light. There is no actual physical body. But then I started regressing him into childhood in this lifetime that was heavily suppressed. And I'm not going to give you the details. But essentially what we were able to do is connect him with the inner child aspect. So this is huge in healing and transformation, being able to reconnect with that part of you that was disrespected or invalidated or repressed, suppressed in some ways, fractured out of the psyche when you were a child. This is very common, and most people don't do this work, don't know about this work. They go into psychotherapy, they do all kinds of things, and they never fully reconnect with the inner child. And again, that doesn't happen right away. So you have to go through some stages most of the time before you can tap into something that is emotionally very, very sacred, right? Because sometimes there might be upreaction. So for some clients, it takes a little bit of time to get into that emotional space of nurturing, loving, recognition of that inner child that hasn't been given that attention. So what we were able to access in the session, that by the way takes few hours, because there is a pre-talk, there is a relaxation induction, and then the actual hypnosis is 2.5 hours. This is a process that I'm talking about. But essentially my guidance towards him was to give the same attention that he was giving to his son, trying to fix him. That was his project, right, for 3 years, to give it to himself and the inner child. And the inner child can have different phases. It could be you from age 6, it could be you from age 12. And then the man starts to cry, right? So we were able to connect him with those aspects that were suppressed, and release him from that compulsion of trying to fix his son, right? Because he thought that he needs to somehow guide him, mend him, or even express more heavy emotions to let the son know that these are the boundaries, right? But he was not able to maintain these boundaries. Tried to send the son to different kinds of therapies. Nothing really worked. And if you don't want to change, no therapy is going to help you. If you're just doing it to satisfy your parent or somebody else, that's not real healing, right? But in any case, he was honest enough to realize that he was actually directing his attention towards his son, because it affected his home environment, and there were situations between him and his wife, because they just feel like whatever they do, they cannot change what's been going on with the son for the past 3 years. So that was a profound healing. And sometimes we don't know, again, that we're being manipulated, or we don't know why we're being manipulated, right? Maybe manipulated is not the right word. What I'm talking about by that is like, there are these energies, they're like cat and mouse. They are keeping people together in very dysfunctional state, right? So that could be a long-term relationship because you've been abused in a house, like really direct kind of a cause that it's easy to pinpoint. As far as this man that came to me, he comes from a family where there was more of a neglect, and there was a lot of children in the family. They were not poor, but there was no guidance there. So he kind of grew up fast and took matters into his hands and built a good life for his family. And other members of the family have some challenges, mental, emotional. So he made the best out of his life, right? By all measures, conventional measures, he's a successful man. Yet that equation was causing him so much discomfort, and none of the methods that he used worked. Another client could be classic example where you have been abused as a child, neglected, and later you come across a person who is going to perpetuate this pattern, but usually it's much more subtle. So unless you are a very good observer of your inner patterns and you have been on this path, you can be played out in many ways. Again, that could be a therapist that makes you feel good, or example of a client of mine, a Jewish client of mine from a couple of years ago, a lady who became a psychotherapist, has been working on her issues for 20 years, right? And her thing was that the best therapist that she has found was the one that agreed with her, but that's not the purpose of therapy, okay? The lady came to me, she was compulsively scratching her face, right? She had scabs on her face. She had to use some kind of a form of ointment to like prevent like really deep scarring. She was taking medication, Adderall, for ADHD, in therapy for 20 years. Finally came to me for a quantum healing hypnosis session. And one of the lifetimes she went to was actually in concentration camp, right? Which is common, by the way. A lot of people who have a Jewish background, one of their lives will be directly connected to Holocaust. But again, the ego wants to validate the status quo, which is the pain, right? So actually most people are so accustomed to these fluctuations in the hormonal system that this is what they understand as their base, as their reality. So everything outside of that feels foreign, feels dangerous. They don't know what it's like to feel good, to feel generally balanced. They haven't felt this way, or they felt it through specific conditions. So again, that could be turbulence because parents were fighting and then making out when you were not even born. So your system, before you're born, gets programmed to seek the same kind of pleasure after the turbulent exchange. Very unhealthy, right? But maybe you don't know about that. You're prone to it, and now maybe you're waking up to a reality that you're in this pattern, that you're attracting people who treat you like shit. And you realize this after a while, because first you go through the bonding phase, and this kind of love bombing takes place, and then situations start to occur where someone is testing how far they can go with you, and you will seal with that person, because if you have that kind of experience of hormonal fluctuation and seeking that bond through this very particular kind of alignment or connection, it's a familiarity that will make you think that this is love, that this is just a momentary thing, that you can work through this. And when that happens, we're talking about trauma bonding. Codependency. You are codependent on emotional instabilities of your partner, of your son, of your child, or of your mother. Doesn't matter what kind of relationship, right? And you are being used because the person who is acting certain ways towards you in an abusive way, they are very much weak emotionally. They have no self-esteem. They have no other ways to feel strong. Usually that means they're hiding something. They're pathological liars. They've been creating stories for a very long time that they might even believe in. They have crafted all kinds of mechanisms within themselves to continue justifying their behavior, right? Because again, that could be their mechanism of survival. They had to be deceiving in order to survive. So I'm not here to judge any of this. I'm just talking about those mechanisms, so you can actually recognize these red flags and not go for this butterfly effect in your stomach. In fact, this is dangerous. When you have this feeling in your stomach, it actually is your belly having a stressful reaction. When the blood rushes into your brain and goes away from the stomach, literally that means you're getting into fight and flight. But you mixed it up because that situation was also connected with some kind of romantic maybe exchange, sexual exchange, or some other experience where that pleasure became a drug, right? Became addictive. Again, that could go generations back. So I'm just telling you a little bit about that. So next time you feel that attraction towards someone, you take your time and you learn about them, and you really tune into your system and ask yourself, what does this feeling remind me of? What does it remind me of? What person does it remind me of? Before you get involved. People these days get involved really, really quickly with others. I would not recommend going with the first instinct when there is this rush that you want to satisfy. Wait, stay back, spend some time with this person, see if they continue nurturing you if you don't give them what they want right away. So you want to be a little bit more mindful about how you respond to attraction or compliments, things like that. This is common. I've seen this with clients who go to therapy and the therapist is complimenting them, sharing personal information. That's not therapy, right? The same like with this other Jewish client I mentioned to you. Agreeing with you and understanding your pain, that's not therapy. That's perpetuating the same thing that caused you pain to begin with. Okay, 20 years later, you are in therapy and you have more and more symptoms coming up. Okay, question the therapy. Unless what you want is someone to validate through ego, because that happens through ego, your perception of the situation, that you were hurt, that you were abused, or whatever the story you have going on. If that's what you want to do, that's perfectly fine, but just understand what it really is. Healing, on the other hand, means that you are turning the energy into yourself and looking for those moments when the mind, the psyche got fractured. And through compassion, through love, offering yourself that attention that was never given to you by your mother, by your partner, by your environment. So usually to have that kind of emotional cathartic release, You need to find a good therapist that can help you go through this process, okay? Because it might be very emotional, and again, it happens through stages, so you need someone to guide you. So don't look for pleasure if you really want to heal from the therapist. Don't look for quick fixes. That's another thing I want to talk about. It really bugs me what I see, these days online, all these coaches, people who talk about healing, but they are marketing something that is not based on how healing and process of healing works. We're complex beings. Mind, brain is the most complex mechanism in the universe. Okay, so you cannot teach people in 3 months how to be therapists, sell them certificates, and tell them that you can break down human needs to like 4 categories, and if you address them all, you just fix them. Okay, that is not true. Okay, if people are looking for quick fixes, they need help, quitting smoking, there are ways through classic hypnosis, for example, that you can help trick the mind, but that is temporary. Okay, and that is not actually healing the original split, the original pain of separation from the self. So I want to talk about that as well, because in altered states of consciousness, you can do a lot of healing, and a lot of the healing can happen fast. But to get there, to be able to surrender, that's the big aspect of it, right? So make sure that you actually don't look for quick fixes. Don't think that you can fix others in 4 simple steps. It's just a bunch of bullshit. And when you do inner work to understand yourself better, understand your patterns, break out of unhealthy patterns, you're doing yoga, breath work, you're doing all this self-help work, right? You're going to reactivate energy that was dormant, that was suppressed previously, and you will have symptoms that might be difficult for you, right? So what is really important is to understand that you are reaching within and turning lights into the entity that is you, that is built of many layers. And that entity, if you discover what you truly are and all these lights you're turning on, then you have to do deep cleaning. And that might take lifetimes. It's not that you're gonna have few sessions and you get the job done, okay? Because you're gonna discover more stuff. Things that you thought were related to your physical health, then you connected to somebody that you met on a soul level, and you realize that your, let's say, irritable bowel movement is connected to the root chakra, it's connected to the feeling of being abandoned and unsafe. So you want to work on all these levels: physiological, psychological, emotional, and understand that this is all connected, right? So healing yourself, taking care of yourself, is a multi-level process. And yes, you can do it. You can definitely, if you invest in this process, if you commit to this process, you can enjoy very much fruits of your work. But to think that quick session here and there is going to suffice, it's absolutely a lie. Okay, and I just want to share this with you because I see this over and over again, and also in a professional community, people who have been therapists for many years, right? And they show tricks online, how you can lift the hand, and you can, once the hand is lifted through suggestion, you can drain all the trauma into that hand and release it. No, it doesn't work that way. What you're doing in that moment, you're basically clearing extra stuff that is on the surface. So you're dusting off, but you haven't even touched the whole construct of your being. Okay, the, that's not that's not healing. That's like telling you, okay, let me show you. You can feel better when you remove that dust. Yeah, you will feel better because you're gonna look at the surface and be like, oh, the surface is clean. Wow, and now I can go ahead and do something else. But then you have no idea about the whole like totality of your inner construct that is a universe in and of itself. You are so multi-layered, right? So it is a cumulative work. When you drum that beat of life, you're gonna shake the foundations. You want to know that the reason why you're doing it is because you want to remember truly who you are. This knowledge has been suppressed, right? And it takes years to understand our origin, the dreams, the symbology of what's happening in our dream state through the connection. We're being triggered to remember more of who we are, because the holy books, the sacred books in Library of Alexandria have been destroyed. Christianity tried to suppress the knowledge that talks about divination, sacred rituals with different fungus used to induce altered states of consciousness. So what is happening when you're on earth, you're meeting people who can help you remember more. But how do you go about it? That is something that requires sometimes, again, years of tending to yourself and utilizing physical doctors, like medical doctors that are open and aware about these connections, altered state of consciousness, hypnosis. Sometimes maybe you want to use plant medicine, working with symbology, and combined. Okay, you want to not look for quick fix or a pleasure or validation in therapy. It's not about feeling satisfied. Actually, you want to welcome discomfort and you want to dig deeper and sit with discomfort, right? So welcome those kinds of relationships in your life, those kinds of experiences, instead of going for fix online course. Yes, you can learn Reiki. It will help you. Like I started with that, with energy work. Then I started learning about altered states of consciousness because I had a near-death experience as a very little girl. And I used even shamanic medicine on my journey, learned classic hypnosis, past life regression, quantum healing, just so I have more and more tools to understand my own process, my own being, and then hold space for others. And when you hold space, let me tell you this, when you hold space, it's not that you actually tell them what to do. It's about saying less, but asking right questions, gently asking your clients, look at it this way, look at it that way. You put them into the altered state, the right state, and then they're gonna start looking at the 360 component. Think of this as a house, so all the rooms, and not just cleaning the surface of the counter. That doesn't fix anything. Just remember, people who have compulsions, they want to organize their physical reality. That's because they have zero knowledge about the inner working of their being. So they're gonna try to control circumstances. You can never control circumstances. You can never control a person. So if you have this compulsion to fix someone, and they are toxic, I'm not saying that they're not abusive. They're generally people who have personality disorders that can't be helped, pathological disturbances. We're talking about sociopaths, psychopaths, people with borderline personality disorder, dissociative identity disorders. So I don't think you are qualified to even deal with them, and personal relationship is not the place where this can be healed. That person needs a therapy, and you probably need therapy separately from that, and maybe then in conjunction, right? But a lot of these cases are so complicated that you think you can help them heal through your love. You're absolutely mistaken. Okay, so let me just make that clear. You're not trained to do that. Okay, and I'm creating this video as a warning, because I've seen this many times. A person becomes a bridge through which this other person walks to the state of, you know, validity, cockiness, arrogance, just sort of further away from the recognition what they've been doing. And again, this is not about judgment. This is just about the mechanisms, how we attract people into our lives, and how this can happen even in therapeutic settings. So I hope this was somewhat helpful to you. There is a lot to it, and I could talk more. I'm recording a course because now I have more time in California to focus on actually recording my knowledge and releasing it, so you can learn some of these tools. I'm going to record Reiki level 2 and 3. My Reiki level 1 is already available for sale. So if you are interested in self-mastery, you know, to crack the code, your code, it takes dedication, meditation, breath work, and proper information, a proper process, what to do with what you're going to discover, right? So if you have been in an abusive relationship, trying to break out, or you recently have broken out and you're very confused, you've been gaslit, you have this cognitive dissonance, and you want to talk about it, heal, please reach out to me. My website is balanceisperfection.com. I post a lot of free content. My Instagram is Balance Lab by Aga Furtak. I'll post the links below, so you can learn about this this incredible combination of tools, techniques, on how to come back to yourself, to your true understanding of your origins, of your purpose, to that source consciousness within. Because the more you tap into it regularly, the more you'll be able to sustain it, right? You can go to a healer, you can go and have a profound experience, but if you cannot sustain that energy, you haven't changed. You will know when you have transformed, when you wake up and everything is hyper real, everything speaks to you, you are fully tapped in, turned on, and you understand the language of vibration. And that takes time. I mean, it's an amazing, profound work, but it's not an easy work, and it's not a fast process. So I leave you with that. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we're here to stop all these dysfunctional patterns and heal collectively and individually. So I wish you a lot of strength on your path, and we'll connect soon. I'll be recording more videos. Thank you for watching. Namaste.